Hello, everyone. You know the routine. The title's misleading. It's been but a minute since I've talked about the Ukraine war, so let's talk about it again here. Because stuff is getting really real. Not that it hasn't been real, but it's getting really real. If you haven't heard, Vladimir Putin, however you want to call his name, someone always gets upset that I call him Putin, because it sounds like puke, and I like the sound of that better. He's called up over 100,000 reservists, up to 300,000 reservists, and right away when I heard this, I assume the Russians that are freaking out now heard the same thing and know that there's going to be way more than that are called up. Now, one of the main reasons of why people are freaking out about this right now is because this means a lot more of these white ethnic Russians, the people that live to the west side of the Ural Mountains, because right now it's been a bunch of DNR and DPR separatists that were already in Ukraine. That's been a lot of the cannon fodder in the front, as well as a lot of the eastern provinces of Russia, the non-ethnic Russians. So all of a sudden, when this gets announced, protests break out in St. Petersburg and Moscow. More so than you saw at any point in this war. Even after the war started, you saw some protesting, but now it's like, yikes, it is time to get out of Dodge, and that is what everyone is doing in Russia right now. Anyone that is of that age range of it's 18 to 65, yes, you could be asked to go into the military if you're 65 years old in Russia. What a wonderful system they have there. Anyway, the 18 to 65-year-old males are flocking out of the country right now, and they're trying to find countries to go to because some countries are denying temporary visas for people trying to avoid potential enlistment in I almost said Soviet Army. Well, let's call it the Soviet Army. Let's be real. This is the Soviet Union all over again. Into the Russian army. So like there's countries saying like, no, we're not going to take you in because you're just trying to avoid serving in the Russian army. There's all sorts of diplomacy issues and whatnot now, but the cost of flying out of Russia now, at some airlines, it's gone up 1,000%. Like, think about that. Like, if the ticket cost $1 yesterday, it cost $1,000 today. Like, that's insane. Anyway, I'm to the point now where I look at things and I hear Putin, given the threat of, we have nuclear weapons and this isn't a bluff. We're going to use them. And like, this is still a sitting member of the UN, the Defense Committee, of any committee at this point. Like the fact that they're able to chair any sort of international agency right now is mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing that countries have to make decisions and that they can be the veto vote because they're one of the ranking chair members of any international organization right now. I mean, if they want to be the chairman of their own even my son knows this is ridiculous. If they want to be their own little Soviet chairman of their little Soviet conglomerate right now, like with countries like Armenia not being held under control and going into a fight now. Anyway, that's a whole different story. It's to the point now where it's just like, stop the madness. If Putin is going to stay in power, then they have to be removed from any international agency that has any sort of influence over any other countries right now. I'm sorry, but the guy saying I have nukes and this ain't a bluff, we're going to use them, because that is the only way he can win right now. And him saying he's going to send several 100,000 more of his own men out there to the meat grinder. And this amount of people that he's calling up is not going to change the tide of the war. This isn't what's going to help win the war. Sorry, my son's trying to get on camera, and this is a daddy show only, bud. The calling up of these hundreds of thousands of more people now, these men, these young men, the procreators, like there's going to be a massive lack of procreating going on because so many men are being sent off to get killed in Ukraine. And these people are at least smart enough to know that right now. I mean, granted, a lot of people probably don't have choices because I'm sure you all saw, or a lot of you saw that Wagner group representative that was talking to that representative. I think it was like southeastern or southwestern Russia. I think the jail was at. He was speaking in front of the inmates at a jail, saying like, you get paid this for serving with us. If you serve for 6 months, your sentence will be abolished from Russian records and whatnot. So you get your freedom. And then, like, I remember seeing that going, like, I'm like, yeah, good luck getting people to still want to enlist in Ukraine, the Ukrainian conflict, war, special military operation. And then footage is shown from outside that jail. Someone took video from the street of, like, all these trucks leaving with inmates in them. And I'm like, all those people enlisted? Like 10 trucks at least that could hold at least 30, 40 people in the back of them. Well, maybe not 30, maybe like 20 to 30. But you get my drift. And I'm like, you know what? I think that releasing, because Russia has such a tight control of what gets released. How did a video get released from inside that prison from the Wagner group? And it wasn't like a covert video. The guy was standing out in the open. Like, they had to see that there was a camera actively filming things. I'm like, they did that intentionally to make it look like these prisoners are given the choice to enlist or not. And then they just take all the prisoners and put them right into the meat grinder. That's what I got from that. Because there's no way all those people from that prison volunteered. Because you saw all those trucks, and the videos are still online, of all those trucks leaving that jail filled with inmates. Like, they all volunteered for their freedom in 6 months. Get out of here. No way. Anyway, that's what's happening in Russia. I think all inmates are going to be gathered up. I think you're going to find out that a lot more than 300,000 reservists get called up for this. And they're going to have to do this to try and secure the Donbass area, because I think Putin thinks like the last thing we could do now is at least secure one area that secures that land bridge to Crimea, because he can't afford to lose more than what he started with. And right now, the Ukrainians are threatening on coming through that southern region and taking over Crimea. And they've even said as much that is a goal of theirs. And Putin knows the amount of people there, the amount of soldiers that are there is not going to be enough to stop this. And it's just going to be a slaughter. It's going to be a slaughter. Now, Putin can eventually send in enough to hold on to the regions that he's already conquered, as little of that as it was, because a large part of the Donbass was already in dispute and already being held over by Russian separatists in Ukraine before this war even started. But you can eventually send in enough cannon fodder that the resources start getting depleted on the Ukrainian end, and it's not worth going into the inner city conflicts to retake these cities over. But it's going to be a meat grinder, because Russia and those soldiers have to know, his shoe fell off. Kid, give me an uh-oh. What do the Russians say when they see the HIMARS coming, kid? Say, uh-oh. Thanks for your contribution to the video. These HIMARS striking capabilities are so tactical and precise that Russia has no real multi-launching little conventional warhead type armaments to even compare to that right now. And that's one of the things that Russia is on the safer end, is that there isn't as many people in Russia in eastern Ukraine right now, fighting for Russia right now. So that at least separates things to getting from less clustered. You don't have bases filled with several hundred guys everywhere within range of HIMARS. There's intel coming in from Germany, from France, from UK, from the United States, all these satellites that are tracking Russia, saying like large mass of Russian troops gathered here, large mass of troops gathered here. This looks like an officer barracks here, there. Everything is getting geolocated and sniped out by these HIMARS. And Russians know this. Like, trust me, there is enough people that have access to the internet and go beyond the Russian pre-programmed Federation TV that gets fed to them on their televisions every day. There's still enough people that have access to the internet to know that it is a death walk to go into Ukraine right now. But Putin can't lose this war. So again, like I said from the beginning of this, the onus is on the Russian people to end this. Keep protesting, keep getting outraged, fill the jails up with you if you have to, with people refusing to go fight over there. Replace the people that get trucked out, but then again, I think those people are just going to get trucked out anyway. There's got to be something done from the social end of things in Russia to end this. Because Putin is going to keep sending in troops till he fully gets more locked down than what he started with. He can't end this with the same amount, and he can't afford to lose more than he started with. He will be a walking dead. I think he's a walking dead man either way. But he's going to keep doing stuff. And again, I still want to believe that the tactical nuke option, by tactical nuke, I mean something that would just something designed to level 1 to 8 city blocks type bomb. Something that could, wipe out a defensive or an offensive perimeter for you, or a defensive perimeter, depending on how you want to look at it. And once Putin breaks that seal, that then opens the seal to say, okay, guess what, China? If you go to war with Taiwan, we're going to defend them with nuclear bombs. What do you think of that? And China knows that. China has got to be somewhat influencing Russia and talking in their ear and going, listen, pal, we're right on your border too. You have sections of the eastern part of our country that were once ours that you took over us as part of the 100 years of humiliation in China. How about we take them back and we threaten to use nukes on you? Like, trust me, China has got to be getting uppity about this as well, and got to be very concerned if Russia breaks the seal and uses nukes. Because China knows it can come right back in their face, and Xi Jinping has got to be saying, listen, prick, don't ruin this for us. We got our own special military operation plan, and it's going to take a dramatic turn if it's going to start with nukes being volleyed at us. Anyway, this is on the Russian people right now. Russian people, and by the way, where are all you people that were supporting Russia now all of a sudden? Where are you guys after all the land in northern Ukraine is getting pushed back to the Russian border? Where are you guys at now? Where's the special military option always ever at any point in this war? It's all going as planned. No, there's regrouping. They're tactically sitting back and all this. And what's with not even getting air superiority to after over 100 days, 7 months into this war? Russia doesn't have air superiority over an air force that is like 1/10 as potent comparable to Russia. And I'm going to leave you with one final note here, okay? Now, when I started out making these videos, I said to you, how sure are we that Ukraine doesn't have nuclear weapons? Okay, because they had nuclear weapons during the Soviet era and had to hand them back as part of the Istanbul Accords, not the Istanbul Accords, the Istanbul. Oh my God, why am I forgetting the name of the agreement that was signed? Anyways, they had to. Okay, here, have the pillow. The Istanbul Memorandum. They had to hand back all their nuclear weapons when the Soviet Union dissolved, when the Iron Curtain fell, and that was to get the protection of of Russia, never to harm them. That a lot of good that memorandum served. So I'm no longer thinking that, because I said the idea, maybe they just said, oh, well, some of these warheads are lost. I don't know. We can't find them anymore. And they kept them just secretly in case Russia got uppity in the future. The thing about this is that it is well known, we know, Chernobyl and other nuclear power facilities are in Ukraine right now. I don't know if people are aware of this, but it is not that hard to make a nuclear-like device, maybe not as devastating, but get a sort of dirty bomb type device, if you just use fission material from a nuclear power plant. So it's not like Ukraine doesn't possess these we can really hurt the holy hell out of you capabilities if we want to. Because they could make a lot of Russia radioactive if they want to. They might not be able to make as devastating of a device as a 50 megaton hydrogen bomb or something along those lines that Russia has. But boy, they're right on the border of Russia. And if they want to send some dirty bombs your way with some fission material from a nuclear power plant, they could make a lot of Russia glow. So think about that, people. If Putin really wants to start using nukes and push comes to shove and Ukraine has like no choice but to do what they have to do, things could get really dirty here. So Russian people, get your regime changed or get ready to go to Ukraine and die. That is all.